morning everybody. This is Madhavi Latha Sampangula, working as head of the department in Government Institute of Printing Technology, Secunderabad, Secunderabad. Today we are going to discuss about the printing defects and their remedies. What are the defects that encountered while we are printing and how to get rid of those remedies. We are going to know about this. Very few remedies we are defects and remedies we are going to see, and in next class we will continue with the same topic. Now, in the previous classes we discussed about the principle of offset printing. What is the main principle of offset printing and what basis it works, and what are the units present in the offset printing. And each and every unit we discussed clearly about their functions, their working principle, the operations involved in those each and every units. What is the main principle of offset? We just recall all those things and we go into the direct topic. The main principle of offset printing is water and grease repel each other. On the basis of this basic principle, the principle of offset is generated. The principle of offset is the image and non-image areas are on the same plane. There is no physical separation, but they are separated chemically. How they are separated chemically? What is the process involved in that? The non-image areas are made water distilled, whereas the image areas are made ink distilled. With the help of the greasy crayons, the image areas are drawn in the initial stage. But after development, the image areas and non-image areas are transferred onto the plate with the help of photography techniques, and then we develop the plate with certain chemicals which make the non-image areas to receive water. So when this plate is fixed onto the plate cylinder, and when the machine is under running condition, the plate cylinder is initially damped with moisture. This moisture will be received by the non-image areas of the plate because they are made water distilled. The image areas will not receive this water or moisture. And after dampening, the plate is inked with inking rollers. So already on the plate there is a moisture or non-image areas. Because of the main principle, basic principle, water and grease repel each other, whatever the areas are moisture, they repel ink. That's why only image areas are ink. These image areas now are transferred onto the blanket, which is mounted on the blanket cylinder. From there onto the substrate with the help of an impression cylinder. Impression is given by the impression cylinder. So in the plate cylinder, the image is in a readable form. On the when it is transferred onto the blanket, that is in a non-readable form, and again from there it is transferred onto the substrate. Now it comes to the readable form. So on the plate and on the substrate, the image is in a right way, correct way. That means a readable form. It's not a mirror image on the plate. This type of printing is called as indirect printing because the plate and the substrate will not have any contact. Here in this procedure, only blanket and substrate will have contact. That's why we call this as an indirect printing process. After completion of that, we discussed about the function, the units present in the Sheetfed offset machine. There are 6 units which together we call that as a Sheetfed offset machine. The 6 units are, according to the functions they do, they are named. They are feeding unit, transferring and registration unit, dampening unit, inking unit, printing unit, and then delivery unit. Delivery unit. These 6 units will function its work, then only we will get a final printout. The main purpose of having a printing machine is to get number of copies from a single master copy. That you know, I think. So by using all these 6 units together, we call that as a press, Sheetfed offset press, we get a final printout. To get a final quality printout, 100% quality printout, all these 6 units should function well. If any one of the units is not able to do its work in a correct way, the whole process will go wrong. We will not get any good quality output. That's the reason we have to make ready all these units before we start printing. This make ready, regarding make ready and all, we will discuss in the next classes. But in this juncture, we discuss about the problems, what are the defects and problems which we face while we are printing on the machine. These are some of these problems. Some of these problems are related to printing ink. Some of the problems are related to paper. Some are related to blanket. Some are related to feeding unit and registration unit. Some are related to transferring and registration delivery unit. Why I am telling these are related? Because those problems arise in that particular unit. Because of misfunctioning of those particular units, these problems may arise. Now we see what are the problems we are going to discuss in this class. The main objective of this class is to after completion of this class, the student will be able to know about the doubling effect, misregistration, ghosting effect or yellowing effect, rub resistance or pickouts, mottling, scuff resistance and carbonizing, ink drying problems. These are some of the main problems which we face at the time of printing. And not only the problems, here we are going to know what are the remedies to solve those problems. We are going to know all the remedies for all the above printing problems. Right. The first one is doubling effect. What is the doubling? Doubling is an unintentional shadow-shaped color point with small dimensions can be found at the artificial printed screen point. See, if you observe this figure, actually this is a if it is in a color mode, you can easily find out, but here it is in black and white example. See, this here it is a shadow like area has been printed. Here also, like that in here. So this is the problem of a doubling. If you observe a multicolor print which is having a problem in registration, you might feel this doubling effect. This doubling is generated by non-congruent retransfer of color through the following rubber blanket. Because of the rubber blanket misfunctioning, this doubling may occur. So we have to check the rubber blanket, and then if possible we have to remove it and fix a new rubber blanket. Otherwise we have to clean the blanket surface and continue the printing work. This is about doubling. Then press differences, passer differences are is also called as a misregister. What is the meaning of misregister? I think you might be knowing about registration marks in the printing sheet. At the bottom of the printed sheet, if you observe in the newspapers, sometimes if the margins are not trimmed, in such case you might have seen the registration marks. These are the registration marks. See here these are the registration marks. If the registration is not proper, that means the transferring and registration unit is not working in a good condition, or there are some other problems also. If this is working in a good condition also, the transferring and registration unit is working in a good condition also, we may face certain problems, misregister problems due to some reasons. Here we are going to know about this. This is the misregistration. See, in black and white, in black color, this is the actual register mark, and this red color also should be printed on this black one. But because of certain problems, this passer difference or misregistered occur. We will see what are the reasons for this process. High growth expansion of the printed stock. We never think about the expansion of a paper or printed stock. Printed stock in the sense the substrate. You might be knowing that for a color print, the one sheet must be printed at least 4 times to get a color copy. First with cyan, magenta, yellow and black. With these 4 colors, if you print on a single stock or single substrate, then only we get a color image. So after completion of first print, the printed stock, that is the substrate, may get expanded due to certain reasons, because of the climatic conditions or because of the moisture taken from the blanket and the solvents used in the inks, or because of all these reasons, the stock or substrate may get expanded. For if the same sheet is using for the next color print, for example, initially I printed with cyan. If I am going to print with a magenta, at that time for cyan the dimensions are good, the paper dimensions are okay, good. But when it is printed with a magenta color, because of the above said conditions, the paper stock may get expanded. The printed stock may get expanded. In such a case, even though the transferring and registration unit is functioning well, but because of the expansion or because of the difference in the dimensions of the stock, the misregister problems may occur. The second reason is that lack of plain positioning of the printed sheets stock. Sometimes, if it is a 2-color printing press, to get a color print or multicolor print, we need to print for 4 times: cyan, magenta, yellow and black. So in a 2-color machine, I printed cyan and magenta at a time, and I put that stock aside for a 24 hours or 36 hours or 12 hours, whatever it may be, and again the same stock may be printed with the next 2 colors, subsequent colors, those are yellow and black. So when the stock is positioned on a uneven table, or the stock will get misregistered. The next print may get misregistered. Lack of plain positioning of the printed stock. Then technical error or failure of the printing machine. Sometimes due to the failure of the printing machines, that means failure of the transferring and registration unit, this misregistration may occur. And in certain cases, unfavorable climatic conditions also leads to this misregister. What is the unfavorable climatic condition? For example, yesterday I printed with the 2 colors in the 2-color machine, and today I am going to print with the remaining 2 colors on the same printed stock. Yesterday it was very sunny, today it is rainy, for example. Because of the moisture in the climate, the moisture will be absorbed by the printed stock, and the sheet may expand. For our naked eye, it may not be possible to observe the difference, but with the microscopic view and taking the dimensions of the accurate dimensions of the sheet, we definitely see the difference. If there is a difference in the dimensions of a printed stock in micro mm also may result misregister. That's the reason we have certain misregister or pacer differences in the printing. Then the following should be, to get rid of this problem, the following points should be checked. Longitudinal direction of the paper. So if the longitudinal direction of the paper is very high, then you may get this type of registration problems. So it is better to use a small pen. Then check fountain solution and reduce it if possible. See, fountain solution, we are using fountain solution or we are applying fountain solution on the plate cylinder. Then what is the purpose of checking the fountain solution when we are thinking about the stock? When the ink from the plate cylinder is transferred to the blanket cylinder, at the same time the moisture also will be transferred to the blanket cylinder. And when from the blanket cylinder to paper, when the ink is transferring, at the same time some of the moisture also will be transferred onto the substrate. If the moisture levels are very high, then there will be a problem of misregistration because of the moisture absorbency of the moisture from the blanket. The stock may expand also certain times. That's the reason we have to check the fountain solution. We are finding this type of problem. The first one is better to use a small web. If it is because of the fountain solution, then reduce the fountain solution. Next, the third one is check the paper run of the printing machine. See, this is regarding feeding and transferring and registration unit. Even when the transferring and registration unit or feeding unit are not functioning properly, then you might find this misregister or pacer difference problem. Check the winding off. If it is a web offset, the winding off, the tensioning of the sheet or the positioning of the web, all those things also matters. So now we have discussed about the pacer difference or misregister. The third one is ghost effect. The name itself is telling it's a ghost. If we see the movies or photographs, you can understand. They show the image of a ghost. It little bit different to the person who is alive, isn't it? So that type of effect may be visible on the printed stock. A ghost effect is caused by an interaction of paper, printed color and production condition. So because of three reasons, by an interaction of paper and printing colors and production conditions. The printing picture distinguish themselves by released cleave products on the back of the sheet lying above in the stock. The sheets are stacked one upon another in the delivery unit after printing one color. Because of certain problems, the back of the uppermost sheet is streaked with the pictures of the lower sheet. We differ between matte glossy effect and contact yellowing. Here the ghostings are there is another one also which is called as matte glossy effect and contact yellowing. See, this is the printed color, actual printed color. This is the paper. This is the lower paper and this is the upper paper. This color enters into the bottom of this paper. Here also, this color enters into the bottom of the paper. This is the clean products. These are called as clean products. See the image here. Actually, the image should not be like this. Because of the ghost effect, it came like this. During the course of the press run, a ghost image of the reverse side print begins to show through the screen-built image on the opposite side, necessitating frequent blanket washing to correct. Sometimes this ghost effect is because of the blanket. If the blanket is not clean enough, then we may see such type of problems, because the previous print image in case some of the previous impression image is already present in the blanket, and then a new fresh image is going to be transferred. The two things will be transferred. That means the previous one and the fresh one, both will be transferred. Then we get the ghost effect. Mechanical ghosting is a phenomenon exclusive to blanket web offset print. If we are using a blanket press, we discussed about this clearly in the previous classes in types of printing presses. There are certain types which use two blankets for two printing units and without impression cylinder. The second unit blanket cylinder will work as an impression cylinder to the first unit. The first unit blanket cylinder will work as an impression cylinder to the second unit. So these are called as blanket to blanket web offset printing. In this also we may find such type of ghosting problem. It becomes visually apparent with a significant drop in dot gain, print density in the opposite side screen areas of the print, especially noticeable in 7 values of 50% or less. Screen values of 50% or less. The pattern of the ghosted image forms the shape of the heavier imagery printed on the opposite side of the web. This is the point we have to note. Mechanical ghosting should not be confused with show-through. Show-through is entirely different and mechanical ghosting is entirely different. You should not get confused with these two. A condition related to low paper opacity. When this show-through appears, when the paper opacity is very low, then we have a problem which is called as a show-through problem. Normally, the paper should have a high quality opacity, high opacity. If the paper opacity is reduced or it is very low, then we find certain type of show-through problem. That means the lower sheet image will be seen through the upper sheet. Then that is called a show-through. So you should not get confused with the show-through and mechanical ghost. What is this ghost effect? The ghost effect appears completely accidental and unexpected, isn't it? We never want a ghost effect, but it is accidental and it is unexpected. A ghost effect may be avoided by the following processes. Printing of bigger color surfaces in the second form printing. Bigger color surfaces. What is the meaning of this bigger color surfaces? In the second form printing. So, if color surfaces in the solid print, you can understand this. Run a smaller stacks and a portion of sufficient aeration during drying, manual or stack change. So, at the time of after printing, you should provide a maximum time to dry the ink. Use of concentrated color to keep the color guidance as low as possible. Well, then we will see matte glossy effect. Matte glossy effect. The three products change the back of the sheet lying above in the stack. If this back is now printed, the color drying is changed at this point. Because the back of this sheet is already absorbed some of the moisture or solvents of the lower sheet. That's the reason if the back of the sheet is now printed, it may take more time or its color drying is changed. By different color dryings, the matte glossy effect is generated. Contact yellow. Characteristics of the contact element. The clear products taken from the back react with the paper. Strongly brightened papers are especially sensitive to contact alone. Then we come to know about picking or parts breaking off. What is the meaning of picking? Actually, the meaning of picking, a literal English meaning of picking we know. The same thing happens here also. The surface of the sheet, if the surface of the sheet is very weak, the ink which is transferred from the blanket cylinder may pick the surface of the sheet sometimes, or if the tackiness of the ink is increased due to some reasons, the ink will become very high tacky and it takes away or picks away the upper portion of the substance. Picking is the tearing out of coating particles or fibers from the paper surface due to too high forces during color cleaning. See, here you can observe this image. This is the rubber blanket. This is the rubber blanket cylinder, and this is the blanket. This is the bulb formation because of cleaning. Printing color before cleaning. This is before cleaning. This is the impression cylinder. On this impression cylinder, we will have a printed sheet. See, these are the ink deposits on the blanket. Here also you can see ink deposits. At the time of this printing zone, this is called as printing zone. That means nip. We call that as a nip also. The contact points between the impression cylinder and the blanket cylinder. These are the contact points. Here we will get a print. So in such a case, the color cleaning may appear. Printer sheet tear off and it tears the printed sheet. See, it is taking the tears away the printed sheet. Reasons for picking. Crudely sized paper. That means sizing. I think you might be know about sizing. If you doesn't know about that, I cannot explain in this juncture. The procedure to give a strong surface to the paper at the time of manufacturing itself is called as a sizing. There are so many procedures to give sizing to the papers. If the paper is poorly sized, that means the surface of the sheet is very weak. That's why the ink will pick the surface. And another reason is too quick absorption of the printing ink. Immediately after transfer from the blanket to the substrate, if the ink is drying very quickly, then this happens. This picking problem happens. Too continuous printing colors. Printing room and the machine too cold. Even the printing room and the machine is too cold. The other conditions are too cold also. We may get such type of printing problems. Too high printing speeds. Even in high printing speeds also, high speed machines also, we may face such type of picking problems. Then, so picking is completed. Mottling or irregular printing. What is the meaning of this mottling or irregular printing? This error appears in printing is caused by a non-uniform absorption of the printing color in the paper surface and thus a non-uniform recleaving of the following printing material to the rubber blanket. That is called as backtrap mottling sometimes. So here I think if you can understand this. This error appears in the printing is caused by a non-uniform absorption of printing color in the paper surface. Normally, after transferring from the blanket cylinder to the substrate, the ink should be absorbed by the surface of the paper. If the surface of the paper is unable to absorb the ink evenly, we may find this type of mottling problem. See, here it absorbed highly, and here very less absorption. Here see, the absorption level is high here, and here it is low. So if it is the paper surface is unable to absorb evenly, then we will get this type of irregular printing or a mode problem. By changing the color sequence, the printer may reduce or prevent the mottling effect. Here, color sequence, that also, what is the meaning of color sequence? You may not be knowing about that. The meaning of color sequence is to print a multicolor color job. We need to print 4 times with 4 different primary colors and the same substrate: cyan, magenta, yellow, and black. So color sequence in the sense, for example, if I am printing initially cyan, then yellow, and then magenta, and then black. This is the sequence of the color. So you have to change the color sequence. If I am printing in such way, first cyan, yellow, magenta, and the black, then I am having this type of problem, mottling problem. I have to change the color sequence. That means first cyan, avoid yellow, second color will be magenta, third color will be yellow, and fourth color is black. If I change the sequence of these colors, then I may get rid of this problem, mottling problem. Then the other one is definition of the scuffing or carbonizing or scuffing. This type of problem may occur when after printing, when it is going for a finishing processes, finishing operations. In finishing operations, we find such type of scuffing or carbonizing. Finishing, I think you might be knowing what includes finishing. The department of printing is divided into 3 sections. One is the pre-press section, means whatever the work which is done before it comes to the printing machine, that is called as a pre-press. And press work, whatever the work will do in the on the press or on the printing machine, is called as a press work. And the finishing, pre-press, press work, and the print finishing, we call that as. In print finishing section, what are the works we do? We do cutting of the web, or folding the sheets, cutting the sheet, creasing the sheet, pinning the sheet, punching the sheet, or creasing the sheet, binding the sheets, sewing, stitching. All these will come under finishing operations. When we are going for finishing operations, when we are doing finishing operations on the printed sheet, we find such type of problems which are known as scuffing or carbonizing. What is the scuffing and what is carbonizing? There is a slight difference between these two, but together we can call them. Scuff strength is the resistance of the printing color layer against the mechanical stress due to pressure, load, and friction. Due to the pressure load and due to the friction, the color layer, the color layer strength is called as scuff resistance or scuff strength. Scuff strength is the resistance of the printed color layer against the mechanical stress due to pressure, load, and friction. What is scuffing? Color soiling, powdering type. Color soiling due to mechanical aberration of the printing color film. Due to the mechanical aberration of the printing color film. If there are sheets which are printed, and now I am going to take the sheets under a guillotine machine to cut the sheet into dimensions, then there will be certain mechanical pressure, isn't it? I have to put some weight on the sheet, then only I can cut the paper in a given manner. So because of this mechanical power, if the color will get soiled. If this happens, then that problem is called as a scuff. If the colors are having scuff resistance, we will not get such type of a problem. that is the scuff resistance or scuff strength, is the resistance of a printing color layer against the mechanical stress due to pressure, certain times pressure load and some friction also. Carbonizing is color soiling due to the pressure load. In scuffing, due to the mechanical abrasion, here due to the pressure load onto the unprinted back of a printed object in the stack or during cutting. So, due to the unprinted back of the printed object. So, on one side it is printed with the color and the other side that is not printed with the color. Due to the color soiling due to the pressure load onto the unprinted back of a printed object in the stack or during cutting. When cutting time also in relating machine we find this carbonizing problem. Matte and silk coated papers are gaining in popularity due to their non-glare finish, making text easier to read. However, one of the major problems with these grades of papers is scuffing and smearing of the ink onto unprinted areas. We have papers in different models. Matte finish, silk coated papers. Matte finish paper and silk coated papers. These two type of papers are nowadays very much popular for printing because it may give a easy way to read text easier, making text easier to read, and it will not give a glare finish. Glare finish in the sense you cannot read from all directions. You have to see the image in a single direction. For example, our photograph in our photo studio, if we have a normal photo, we have to view that photo in certain angles only, not in all angles. If that has been printed in a matte paper, then we can view the photo from all different directions, so we can see the photo. That is a matte. So the matte finish or silk coated papers nowadays are very much popular in the printing industry, but they are producing certain type of these scuffing problems. What is the problem? One of the major problem with these grades of paper is scuffing and smearing of the ink onto unprinted area. Because the matte surface or the silk coated surface, on that surface the ink is deposited. Now I am doing certain finishing works to that. At that time the color on that paper may scuff and spread into the non-printing areas of the paper. This is due to rubbing and set-off of the ink during the converting and finishing processes, and is particularly problematic in areas of high risk, high ink density which contact unprinted areas. Study of the commercial paper showed that different types of ink scuff occurred for different papers at different times throughout the converting processes. Throughout the converting processes, we may find this type of scuffing or carbonizing of sheets in different stages for different types of inks and different types of papers also. Different types of the study of commercial paper showed that different types of ink scuff occurred for different papers at different times throughout the converting processes. A number of papers had some set of problems occurring in the internal pages of the booklet. Set off, I think you might be knowing. Set off in the sense, if the printed sheet is placed on a previous printed sheet, the ink from the lower sheet may be transferred onto the second and lower side of the top sheet. Then the ink will be transferred onto that side, that is called as set off. So this type of problems may occur. This rub did not specially correlate with the roughness, but was likely to have been the result of a combination of different effects. Then, what is the difference between scuffing and carbonizing? Average pressure with relative long scuffing path. Here, this occurs in collating machines, folding machines, and gathering and stitches. Carbonizing, high pressure with very small stalks, guillotine type cutters, and three cutter machines. In this we find this type of processing. Here this is the scuffing and this is the carbonizing. This is a silk surface paper and this is the matte surface paper. You can observe the difference between these two. Then, especially in case of matte papers, the scuff strength is influenced by the following factors. The scuff strength can be influenced by the following factors. The colors. Oxidative drying colors will have high scuff strength, whereas fresh colors will not have high scuff strength. Powders, starch powders to dry the sheet. Sometimes we use certain powders. Starch powders will have high scuff strength, whereas mineral powders will not have high strength. And then printing condition. Stable, continuous printing without many stops, good climate. Stable, continuous printing without many stops and good climatic conditions. This increases the scuff strength, whereas drying, example with IR. If we are using IR for drying, infrared radiation for drying, then we will get a lower scuff strength. Foundation solutions. Where we use foundation in dampening unit. In this foundation solution, optimal 5 to 8%. The pH optimal should be 5 to 8%. The pH should be the 5.5. If it is a high acid water, then the scuff strength will be reduced. Then paper. Smooth surface paper will have high scuff strength, and whereas coarse surface low scuff strength. That's the reason matte finished papers will have high scuffing problems. Time. Drying time, irradiation, quick processing. In quick processing, we will have less scuff strength. If we give much time to dry, then we can reduce this scuffing problem. That means the scuff strength may be increased. Book binder. Upright sheet feeder and horizontally laying sheet pulled from the bottom. These are the types of binding units. In this type of unit, upright sheet feeding unit, you can have a high scuff strength, but whereas horizontally lying sheet pulled from the bottom will have less scuff strength. The repro UCR 400% color at one point. Then, how to avoid this is a scuffing problem. Selection of printing colors. From the beginning, we have to check, we have to think about that. This is a scuffing problem. Not only when it is coming to the finishing unit, we are finding such type of problems. But here in this juncture, we cannot do anything. From the initial stage itself, we have to decide and we have to carefully avoid this scuffing problem. Use of so-called scuff resistant colors. We will find some scuff resistant colors. We have to use those scuff resistant colors. No use of box fresh printing colors. What is the box fresh printing colors? Those are box fresh colors without any modifications. We may not get a correct scuff strength. That's the reason we have to use scuff resistant colors. Determination of the color sequence. The color printed last should always be yellow. This is also very important. We have to print last color should always be Yellow. Selection and dosing of printed auxiliaries. Usually, no printing auxiliaries, that is oil, space, etc. should be used. The use of paint dryers could be useful. Dosing according to the manufacturer recommendations. If we use the paint dryers, then that will be useful. We don't use this type of oil, space, etc. Regulation of the fountain solution. As we know, alcohol share should be 8 to 10% and pH value should be 5.3%. 5.3 pH. Optimization of the color water balance. Color water balance is also very important. Dampening adjustment slightly above the lubrication limit. Perfect condition of color and dampening rollers. Precise adjustment of color and dampening rolls. Stabilization of the color water balance by co-printed color boards in case of poor printing font. Correct print through dry spraying. Graining of the powder analogs to the basis of weight of the paper. No powder with edge structure. That is, as I told in the previous slide, mineral powders are giving less stuff strength, whereas using the starch powders gives a high stuff strength. Use of powder with round structures, which are nothing but starch powders. No powder on sugar bases. On sugar bases, no powder will be used. The less powder, the better the stuff strength. Stuff strength, if you want to increase, you have to use less powders. Drying time. The drying time between printing and further processing should amount to at least 48 hours. That means after printing, the printed sheet must be keep idle for at least 48 hours. Then only those sheets should be processed for further finishing processing. For the finishing works, it should be processed after at least 48 hours from the printing. So with this, we conclude here. In this lesson, we have seen some of the problems which may be faced at the time of printing on the printing machine. In the next class, we will discuss some more printing defects and their remedies. Thank you.